Welcome to Gravelload. I'm Anthony, and we're doing a review of the Framework 7640U laptop. Now, this is a DIY edition. You can see it's my wife. If you follow the channel a little bit, you'll have seen I put the skin on it. I've done an unboxing, putting it together, and now we are here. So, the 7040, let's just run through some of the specs on this. Now, I put in a what was it, 32 gigs of RAM in here. The Ryzen 5 7640U it's got a max boost of 4.9 gigahertz, and this is all from AMD's site, so you can go look that up if you want. It's a 4 nanometer, 6 core, 12 thread, base clock at 3.5, 28 watt default TDP. That is, I believe, configurable, and yeah, configurable between 15 and 30 watts. Six megs of L2 cache. What else is here? 16 megs of L3, and then your target max operating temperature, your TJ max is 100C. It's PCI 4 on here. If you see my video I put together, I did put on PCI 5 drive. Just found a really good deal on it. DDR5 as well. 2 memory channels. DDR5 5600. Which is in here. It's got the Radeon 760M GPU on it, which is 8 graphics cores on that processor, 2600 megahertz frequency. It also has the AI engine on it, AMD Ryzen AI engine, which is it's all this really says is that it has up to 10 tops of performance. So that's pretty much the rundown here of the laptop. Now you can see putting it together, we put on a nice D-brand skin, which has been nice. You know, the kids and everything play around with it, so and do that. Overall, this has the 55 watt hour battery on it, not the 61 watt. Has the matte screen, so you can kind of, that's how it all looks here, all set up. Matte screen on it. There is the configuration thing where you have to have the certain ports if it picks it up here. So your USB-Cs need to be in the back. Framework has all that written down, and they're supposed to be having a app as well eventually. I think that it will be able to tell you what is right for the best power options there are because of the configuration of how this one is. Not something to be too worried about, in my opinion, right? It's pretty simple to follow, and if you're having a issue with your battery life, that could be part of it. Now, jumping right into how the performance is. Now, this isn't going to be something with a whole bunch of numbers, everything else. This is my wife's laptop, so I don't really. I took it enough to, test it out, make sure it's all up and working, and from there, she uses it. It's not. I'm not going to be installing a whole bunch of stuff, testing a whole bunch of stuff. If I ever got one for myself, that would be a little bit different, but I don't want to clutter it up, have to redo it or anything else. This is her laptop. I just make sure that it always works just fine so that she doesn't have any problems with it at all. So a lot of you have had some questions about, if the cover's closed, how much battery life is there, if it's hot in the lap, stuff like that. First, I want to say that I have a 12th gen, and you guys saw, if you guys watched Fixing a Framework, you saw what I just did to it. So I did fix that up, but the hinges are much better on this model. Whatever they did to the hinges is a much improvement over the 12th gen. So I'm guessing the 13th gen also has that. So something to keep in mind if you're worried about the hinges or you wanted some improvement on the hinges as well. So there is that. Now, if you keep the cover closed for 13 hours, so it's down 6%. So my wife uses this. She teaches the kids and stuff, so she's not on it all the time, right? She's on it over a multitude of days. And overall, keeping the lid closed, opening it, doing some work. She's doing a lot of browsing, watching some YouTube videos for the kids for educational stuff. Pops up Plex too, if the kids need to watch something like that. Typing, just a lot of that sort of stuff. That lasts over like 3-4 days for her doing that type of work. She really likes the battery life much better than her Surface Pro 4 that she had, which is, long in the tooth now at this point. So that was one huge benefit I think that she has had over time, is the battery life. It gets, I'd say, if you use it straight, just looking at the metrics that Microsoft puts out in their, because this is running Windows 11, and then you have that whole energy thing, it gets about 8 hours, give or take, in that range. So if this is something you're looking for to do, I think that this is definitely an option for you to take a look at. So uh, yeah, there's a lot there, which has been quite impressive with the battery life on this processor. Now, would I like to have the 61 watt in here? Yes, but that probably comes at a little extra cost. But if she ever needs a little extra battery life, I jump up to the 61 watt and so watt hour. So that is that is something that I do wish it had. Right, this is kind of where the disappointment of getting, because she didn't need the Ryzen 7, getting the Ryzen 5, the disappointing side. Now, I've talked about the build quality of this. I really like it. I mean, one thing I like more about these frameworks now, is the repairability. Right, the and it's not just that I like that you have support, that you have replaceable. They even allow you, if you want to repair the boards, you can go contact them. They give you schematics and stuff, and I think that's a really good feature. But another thing is that you drop it, right? I mean, the kids are playing around with this. I was doing, dumb stuff with mine and I would set it on top. But then you just drop, you drop it, and you just have to pay just for the case, because that's all that broke, and not for the whole new laptop, which I think is a big, price saver for a lot of people. If I'm thinking about like that, not just on the waste side and just throwing out something that still works, but on the saving side for consumers, right? You're only buying that chassis. So, if you're looking at a laptop, this is why I do recommend getting something like this, if you're looking to upgrade. Now, some negatives. My wife is coming from a Surface. She wants a touchscreen. The kids want the touchscreen. They just like the touchscreen a lot more. Hopefully, Framework comes out with that sometime in the near future, because I think that would be, I'd probably buy two of them. I'd probably buy one for myself, one for this one. Keep these screens as backups. But um, that is just one thing I really like. Now, I do think that the hinges, stick really good, right? The hinges are really, really good. But one thing I noticed, I think there's more rigidity in this model than on the 12th gen. Now, and the reason why I'm noticing this a lot more is because I bought a new chassis. So I don't know if the chassis is still from 12th gen or wherever, but I noticed that if I hold my hands like this a lot, so this is how I hold my laptop when I carry it around the house, and I noticed that going like this, I would always click the touchpad. That does not happen on this model or on my new chassis on the 12th gen. So that was a very good improvement I like. Now the matte, very good improvement I liked about the chassis. Now the matte display, I think, is also a nice added touch. My wife seems to like it. I seem to like it a little bit more as well, because I do take it, I take my laptop kind of pretty much everywhere around the house. Obviously you saw me put it in the garage and it drop off. So the matte display, just being able to compare it with mine, is a benefit. So installing Windows 11, you guys, if you have, I have a video on how to kind of get by that. That was a little bit of a hassle, but that's not on Framework. That's on Microsoft for doing dumb stuff. Microsoft should just have you install it and skip all this stuff. If they can't keep the OS installs with all the drivers and everything else, heck, I don't even, even if they did, they should not force you to have an online account. That's just, anti-consumerism right there. But that once you get past that hiccup, you install the drivers, it was good to go. Now this one came with an earlier version of the BIOS, so what I did was they had instructions: make sure you install the updated drivers first, and then you go through and install the BIOS. It worked perfectly fine. Hopefully they keep committed to BIOS and they kind of keep, going through. I did a video on the Forgotten Framework, the 12th gen, which is still waiting on a BIOS over a year after when they announced that they would have all the support for Thunderbolt 4 certification, etc. Only a beta BIOS has been out since then. So hopefully that they keep up with all their frameworks, and so that repairability does not mean losing support, because how repairable is it? How if you if the laptop just doesn't get its security updates in its BIOS, especially with some of the security flaws that have been coming out here. I think Intel 10th gen on up had just had another one, if I recall correctly. So yeah, just kind of going through what else you guys might want. Performance. I hope some other people do performance numbers. I just, I can't justify just taking this from my wife and running, a whole bunch of tests from it. That's one big reason. But I did do the Crucial T700 in here, so it's Gen 5. So it was a great deal. Now that made me a little bit more power hungry, but I did do some settings to make sure that that goes into power saving mode as well. Now there's a lot, with Microsoft Windows 11, I believe with Windows 10 as well, is that you can set up and you can go in and select settings that try to help get you the best power savings mode. Now my wife does not use dark mode, which Microsoft says will save you some more power, which is probably right? Because displays are kind of your biggest display hit. So yeah, this has been impressive for what it is. So yeah, I don't know what else you have here. I think that if the fan noise and everything else is great. I'm not hearing it when it's running. My wife doesn't complain. The speakers here are the 80 dB ones, I believe, which are great. She can put it on her lap. It's not hot, which is a huge plus. She's not, concerned about that. So they did get cooling, I think, pretty good with this. And, AMD seems to have a pretty good solution here in mobile as well. So that has been a good thing, right? My kids are not complaining about it when it's on their laps. So that's all a really, really nice benefit. This has the Corsair RAM in it, so I don't know if that's certified from, but it's a 5600 and it works great. I've had no issues, no blue screens, nothing. So there is that. What else? I'm going through the comments here. I'm just reading through. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. Wife will be using it. Flex. But I mean, I've been impressed. I used this for a little bit. We watched a whole bunch of Plex on it, and for hours, what was it, a couple hours? I was up with, my wife was out with some of the kids, and I was up with some of the littler ones, and they wanted to watch Bugs Bunny. So we watched Bugs Bunny for hours, and it still had great battery life. You didn't even have to plug it in. That's one nice thing I do really like about this laptop overall. Um, I do want to say, if let's say you're looking for one of the, a laptop, and you don't want to get the latest stuff. Framework did come out with their Framework outlet that I just saw in an email. I should probably do maybe another dedicated video on it. But let's say you want one of the first gens, 11th gen laptop, Intel. They're now going for like B stock. So now they're starting to, go A and B stock, which is actually not a bad thing. Let's say you have some, scratches or dents or, other things that you consider B stock. You can sell them for a little bit cheaper price. And those people that want to maybe get in and get a laptop and know it's upgradable, repairable, everything else has that benefit to jump in. And I think that's a really, really good option for a lot of people. So, yeah, and the dbrand skins are out there, so if you want to get there, they have a lot of cool designs. I believe they even have a create your own there. So yeah, so this is a pretty good version. It looks like I answered all the questions. Uh, so I am pleased that I got all the questions answered there. Let me know if you do have anything else on this Framework laptop, right? Um, it the Ryzen 5, if you have something specific, I can always test it there. but it works great. My wife is very pleased with it. She's glad she got an upgrade, and hopefully it's the, I would say the last chassis she ever needs, but who knows? I thought my chassis was the last chassis I ever needed, and I dropped it, and I needed a new chassis. But the last kind of chassis you kind of need, and you can just upgrade throughout with this. I mean, this weight and stuff, right? It's not the thinnest in the world, but it's repairable, and you drop it, whatever else, it's upgradable. You want a new laptop, instead of spending another, let's say 1,500, you're spending this, right? There's a framework 16 if you want a GPU on it. Hopefully that keeps going forward. My brother is getting that. Hopefully I can get my hands on that for a little bit, but he's getting that one, right? He's really excited about it. He's now wishing that he would have placed his earlier. So there's a lot of this that is going, with this repairability, what's out there. I'm even looking at the framework 16. I know some people that do some engineering stuff. I hope that when they get this out, they get the runs all caught up quite quickly, maybe before Q2, because I know, there's some businesses and stuff that do engineering that would be looking for something like this, where it is repairable, upgradable, and they don't have to keep spending all that money into laptops all the time, but they have something repairable. So if something does go wrong, like they did have one of theirs, they're not just buying a new one. We're just fixing it and we're off the races. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for watching Gray Overload, supporting Gray Overload. I really do appreciate it, helping this channel grow. It's been amazing the last couple months to see that growth here coming. I'm really thankful for you guys out there. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. That actually has really helped the channel out a lot as well. And until next time, God bless.